So I really do, and I do want to thank you again on camera here for being here today. I appreciate it. I know this is a busy week.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your position.
Thank you.
I do want to take the opportunity to clear up any confusion that parents
Sure.
may have. It does seem the Department of Education is backing off censoring the AP Psychology course in Florida, but Commissioner Manny Diaz sent out a tweet that perhaps confused parents, teachers, maybe even some superintendents in the state. He tweeted, quote, "The department believes that AP Psychology can be taught in its entirety in a manner that is age and developmentally appropriate." What does that mean? Will it be taught in its entirety, including the part about sexual orientation, or will adjustments be made?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. That's a great question. So we have, across all of our district, we have 19 schools that offer AP Psychology, or offered AP Psychology, about 1,800 students that are enrolled in that course. We in Hillsborough County, we are very fortunate that all of our high schools are Cambridge certified. So we have the opportunity to offer the ACE Psychology course, and that is our direction in our district. We will not be offering AP Psychology. All of our students, will be given the option to enroll in the ACE Psychology course, which gives our students the opportunity to earn college credit. As you mentioned, there was just too much, it's really up in the air right now on whether even College Board. The last statement we have from the school district, the College Board was very clear that if the course is not taught in its entirety, that we put our students at risk of not getting college credit. And that was a decision, with my staff that I had to make. I wanted to protect our students, to make sure that when enrolled in that psychology course, that they were guaranteed the opportunity to earn college credit. But we have about 1,800 students across, like I said, 19 schools, 19 of our high schools that were involved in that AP Psychology course. This all went down last Thursday. It happened very quickly.
Right before
school starts,
no
right?
chance.
Yeah, so it had. So we, superintendent's conference call on Thursday and Friday, and then now we're seeing districts make decisions. Most school districts are moving that same way, where they're going towards that Cambridge psychology course for their students. There's a couple. Duval just went last night. They put something out that they're moving towards other options other than AP Psychology. To me, it's just the right thing, the right decision I got to make for our students to be, not be involved in all this. This doesn't need to carry on. We need to get our students enrolled in an ACE Psychology course where they have the opportunity to earn college credit and get them out of all that.
So no AP Psychology?
No AP Psychology.
The new standards on African American history that were recently adopted, how much autonomy do history teachers have if they don't believe in the so-called benefits of slavery? Can they not teach that part? What are you telling your teachers in Hillsborough County?
Yeah, so the simple answer to that one is those standards are not adopted for this year. The pilot was done, so those will not go into effect until the 24-25 school year. So those standards for African American history will not be taught in any of our schools this calendar year. We, as a school district, have been very fortunate. We actually received from the state of Florida, we were one of 11 districts that received exemplary status on teaching African American history. So we're in a good place, but those standards that you speak of, those will not be adopted until not this school year starting, but 24-25. So we have an opportunity to.
And just to clarify, African American history will still be taught in Hillsborough County, but not the new.
Correct, not the new standards. Yes, sir.
So in next year, do you, if you're, I know you're concentrating on this year, but for teachers who are wondering, okay, am I going to have to explain to my students that that slaves somehow benefited from being enslaved? I'm not comfortable doing that. Do they have the option of not teaching that, or will they have to abide by these state standards?
Yeah, and luckily for this school year, we're going to have some time to get to that answer, but for this school year, those standards will not be taught in Hillsborough County Public Schools.
You have a front row seat to all of this, as do parents and anyone who watches the news, but perhaps you sit a little closer to the opera. How much of politics has crept into the classroom?
So I was appointed June 27th to this position, so it's been, I think, coming up on 5 weeks now in this job. Love it, love every second of it, of leading a district where born and raised here in Tampa, 48 years, born here, graduate from Hillsborough County Public Schools, Jefferson High School. This, and then being in the district for this is year 27 for me. This is the first time where we've had that number of laws that have come down that we're there in a position to start implementing, and it's something that we have to adapt to and follow. But in the end, laws that come down from the state of Florida, we're going to follow them, and that's what we've spent all our time in the summers. Make sure we implement those laws, as we see fit.
I know that on that conference call with the superintendents and some of the people at the DOE, I hear it got kind of heated and animated. And perhaps understandably so. We had a former superintendent tell us that he doesn't need to be micromanaged. You have superintendents leaving their jobs. You have, obviously you're stepping into a role that was vacant. It's happening all over Florida at a record number. What would you tell Florida lawmakers? Should lawmakers let superintendents and teachers do their job? Do you feel like you're being micromanaged?
I don't feel like I'm being micromanaged. No, I think there's a point to where we operate in a system. So the system in which we operate in the state of Florida is not any different. We are seeing a number of laws that are coming into place that we haven't had in the past. But our role and responsibility is to follow the laws that are given to us to make sure. I think as my role as superintendent is we have all this stuff that's happening. But I don't want that to take away from the distraction of when our students show up on Thursday, that we take care of them. Our number one job is to accelerate our students' academic potential, make sure they reach their full success, and take all of this other stuff. I got to kind of play where we create conditions for our students to be successful and not be involved in too much of that. And we got to protect teachers too. We got to protect our teachers. That is, former teacher myself, I want to make sure that we protect teachers. So a lot, even what we talked about with the AP psychology, is to protect our teachers, not put them in a position to where they could be deemed as breaking the law by teaching a particular standard. So, yeah.
I know you're trying to navigate tricky waters, but when you say protect teachers from not breaking the law, I have to say this. It just seems like that's not a place where a teacher should even be in that space.
Yeah.
It seems like
I know
that should not be a concern for a teacher.
Yeah. And that's why we have, and that's a great question, Paul. That's why we have our curriculum team. We have instructional guides we create. So that way when I'm a teacher and I have my instructional guide, they follow that instructional guide. A little bit of autonomy there as teachers, but we have an instructional guide of what content they're supposed to cover. And we put them, our job is to put them in a position to where they can be successful. So we create those guides so that they can go in and do their work in the classroom.
Speaking of teachers, Florida has one of the worst teacher shortages in the country right now. Why do you think so many teachers are leaving? Is it the pay? We're 48th in the country when it comes to pay, or is it this perception that I can't teach the way I want to teach because lawmakers are passing laws that infringe on my job?
That's a great question. So I think that's really the key for me and for Hillsborough County Public Schools is, I talk to our teachers and we are Hillsborough strong, and there's a part in there that talks about that we are strong in culture, right? And creating conditions to where they feel like they're making a difference. That's my role is to ensure that our teachers are, have an environment to where they can, show up every day and be successful and know they're going to be supported by our school district, and that's number one to me. But I think your question, there's a lot of factors that are out there that are all, across the nation. We see just on the morning news this morning, they were talking about nationally the teacher vacancies. So I think as we look across, it's really for us, how do we create those conditions? Because I think it's coming from it's multifaceted in why this is being created. But it really comes to morale too, and making sure that that we take care of our teachers, and in Hillsborough County Public Schools we take care of each other.
I have to say, I'm a parent. I got 2 boys in the school system. This idea that sort of came up in the last year or so in the political arena that schools were somehow woke factories or places where kids were being indoctrinated was all new to me. I never noticed it, never talked about it, never came up at dinner. Kids never mentioned it, never saw it in their homework. It felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. I know it happened during the pandemic. Just for the record, was in your assessment, you've got a bigger view, and I know you weren't superintendent then, but you were assistant superintendent.
Yeah.
Was there ever any kind of curriculum that you thought was influencing kids politically or indoctrinating them or so-called introducing woke ideology?
Yeah, not in my viewpoint, in my experience that I had, I never felt that.
And so now a lot of parents feel like we're moving in the other direction, where you've got this recent implementation of PragerU. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about PragerU. Yeah. It's a conservative company. Is Hillsborough County using it? And to what extent might students be exposed to it?
Yeah, so first time I ever heard of PragerU was, I think a week ago. So PragerU is a supplemental resource that was adopted by the state of Florida. So it is a resource that teachers can use. In Hillsborough County, we have the aforementioned instructional guides I talked about. Nowhere in our instructional guides where teachers uses their framework to teach their lesson, I'll be clear, PragerU is nowhere listed in there at all. But it is an adopted state of Florida resource, but we don't instruct teachers, hey, utilize PragerU for a particular lesson. That's not part of our guides.
But if a teacher who has a certain political leaning decides to show one of these videos in class, are they allowed to do that?
It's a supplemental resource adopted by the state of Florida, and I would also, there's teachers, we give teachers a little bit of autonomy too. They're professionals, right? So I will always entrust my teachers in their decisions that they make in their classrooms. That's why they're the professionals that they are. So yeah, we trust in them.
And parents, do they have the option to opt out of that, or are they even going to know if it comes up in class?
Yeah, it's not an opt-out because it's just it's a supplemental resource that's adopted by the state, so it's something they can use. And we have teachers that use supplemental resources in their classroom, all the time. This one is just particularly gaming.
You're aware that PragerU has videos that are telling kids, or particularly young girls, they should smile more. There's a wide breadth of history lessons. You could put a 80%, 90% number it's mostly accurate, but then there's a part of it that clearly has a political agenda.
Yeah.
Are you concerned about that?
So like I said, I am not familiar with PragerU as a supplemental resource at all, because in Hillsborough County Public Schools, PragerU is nowhere. So I want that to be clear to our families. Yes, sir.
All right. How would you describe the current financial health of the Hillsborough County School District?
Yeah, so we're at a place now, a lot of the work we've done over the last 3 years gets us to a place now to where we're stable, and we are looking to get to a place to we can, as we look at compensation for teachers, all of our employees, to get to a place where we can become competitive with other districts that are around us. There are, around surrounding districts have the ability to pay teachers a little bit more, and we've been feeling the effect of that. So the question earlier about teacher vacancies, we've got surrounding districts that have a millage referendum where they can pay an additional allocation monies to their teachers to teach. So that's an area that we've got to had to get to a place of fiscal and operational responsibility first. Now to really build upon that and get to a place where we can be competitive to bring in high quality teachers in this district.
The penny sales tax did not pass a couple of years ago. Do you foresee that being reintroduced to Hillsborough County residents as a way to boost revenue in schools?
That's something. So what you're speaking of is that we had the penny tax, which I want to again thank our taxpayers. Back in 2018, that was our capital outlay, where we've done an amazing job, our team, and we have a citizens oversight committee where we've been able to do tremendous work and with our facilities and getting air conditions fixed, roof fixed. So thank you to our to our community for that. Just this past year, we had our millage referendum that did not pass, and that was the one that several other school districts, have those in place to be able to pay that additional monies to teachers. So that'll be something that the school board, myself, will have to sit down and talk through. But we'll be prepared to do that if we feel like now is the right time to do it.
How would you assess the quality of education in Hillsborough County right now? I'll
answer it this way. My son just graduated from Robinson High School in 2023. My daughter graduated from Blake in 2020. I would not have my children in any other place in Hillsborough County Public Schools. I'm graduated Hillsborough County Public Schools. We are in a place now, when you feel this energy, Paul, that we're getting ready to start this school year with, all of this other stuff we talked about, our distractions, our teachers are ready to go, our staff's ready to go. We're going to make this the best year yet.
What do you think will be the lasting lesson when we look back and have some time and space to look back on 2022, 23, and next year, 24, it's going to be an election year. What's the bottom line for you? What should we all learn about education and the people who deliver it to our children on a daily basis?
Yeah. So in Hillsborough County Public Schools, you'll hear me say a lot, I believe in people, and I believe we have the strongest, workforce anywhere. I put my teachers and staff against any district in this nation for what they bring to the table. What's going to be a big push for us this year, as we look over the last 3 years with our students, is attendance. And we've come from a place to where we used to really monitor attendance, and then with COVID and all that's happened over the last couple of years, we've kind of lost focus on that. My most important message to our parents is make make sure your students are here on time. Attendance is going to be a big factor for us. Being in school, increasing that amount of time instructionally, increasing instructional time, that's going to put us in a place to where, we are the top district in the state of Florida.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul.